News Radio Wham 1180 welcomes you to the Seniors Rock Show, presented by Effortlessly Healthy Meals. The Seniors Rock Show is a lively weekly discussion shining a bright light on aging with fun, entertaining, and important info for all adults. Join in with your comments or questions. Call 222-1180 or 1-800-295-1180. Now, live from the News Radio Wham 1180 studios in downtown Rochester, here's your host, Joanna Palvino.
Welcome and good morning. It's a great day for a Saturday. We've got a long weekend and there's lots to celebrate. Let's just start with that. And I'll be celebrating today my incredible daughter Lara's graduation from the U of R Nurse Scholar Program. At 46 years old, she slayed the grueling 12-month education to become a registered nurse, and it ended with an impressive, are you ready, 4.0. I'm so proud and happy that she's accomplished this goal, folks, and she did it all through hard work. Despite a lot of challenges over the 12 months, she got it done, and this weekend is Labor Day, and we celebrate all of America's workers. So I thought that was a good way to segue into that and to celebrate their challenges and their wins. Those that have contributed to our communities in past years and those that will continue to contribute for years to come, just like our nurse, Lara. Congratulations to all of the new nurses. We need and appreciate all of you. I'll get crafty now and I'll segue into Mike's real estate planning segment by saying that hard work is one of the ways someone can attain assets, right? Assets like real estate. And Mike's topic today is about joint ownership of real estate. I'll turn the mic over to you now, Mike, because I'm not sure what that means, but you are our resident estate planning expert, and I'm happy to see you today.
Hey, Joanna, happy Saturday, and congratulations to Lara. That's pretty impressive stuff,
Thank
4.0, and yeah, a lot of hard work, I'm sure. So, yeah, I wanted to talk about the three different ways that more than one person can own real estate. And you might wonder, well, what does that have to do with estate planning? And it actually has to do with quite a bit in terms of both asset protection, but also how does that real estate pass on when an owner dies? And so when you have more than one person owning real estate, that means it's some form of joint ownership. And people can own that real estate in what's called tenants in common, or they can own it as joint tenants with right of survivorship. And the distinction has a lot to do with how that property will pass on when an owner dies. So with tenancy in common, two or more people can own that property, and they each have their own interest that they can dispose of as they wish. So, for example, Joanna, if you and I own a piece of property together as tenants in common, and one of us dies, we get to say where our interest in that real estate goes. It doesn't just automatically go to the other joint owner. So if I'm the one who dies, I could leave it to my wife, to my children, to my next door neighbor, to anybody.
Do you have to get permission from the other people?
You do not. Nope. You own your own interest, and you can dispose of it how you will. Joint ownership with right of survivorship is different because in that situation, if you and I own a property as joint tenants with right of survivorship and I die, you automatically own the property. There doesn't need to be a new deed done. No one else can contest that. That's just the way that form of ownership works. And so the reason that is relevant in the estate planning context is how do people intend to deal with that property when one of the owners dies? I've encountered a lot of situations where people thought, well, if one owner dies, it's automatically going to belong to the other.
Yeah, you would think.
But it didn't work out that way because unless the deed specifies that the property is to be owned as joint tenants with right of survivorship, the legal presumption is it's a tenancy in common. And so, that's something if you're buying property with someone else or, more than one other person, you really need to have that conversation. Well, what do we intend to have happen with that property if one of us dies? And then make sure that the title is structured correctly. Another distinction is that with tenancy in common, you can have unequal interests. So you and I could be tenants in common on a piece of real estate. You could own a 75% interest. I could own a 25% interest. With joint tenancy, all the interests are equal. So there's a distinction. And in the other third way of owning the property, it's actually a form of joint tenancy with right of survivorship, and it's called tenancy by the entireties. And that's only available to a husband and wife. And it works the same way as joint tenancy with right of survivorship in that when one spouse dies, property, the full title automatically passes to the other. But one of the big distinctions is with tenancy by the entirety, you have creditor protection over that property. So going back to tenancy in common or joint tenancy, if you and I held property that way and I got sued and there was a judgment against me, my judgment creditor could force a sale of the property so that they could get my equity out of it. With tenancy by the entireties, if a husband or wife is sued and has a judgment against them, the judgment creditor cannot force a sale of the property. It has a special protection because of the tenancy by the entireties designation. Once again, that needs to be delineated in the deed. It needs to indicate that the property is passing to two people as a married couple, and then that tenancy by the entireties will apply. So it is definitely a nice asset protection feature available for a married couple.
And I have a question, of course. Now, does this apply only to people who are purchasing property together, or does it also apply to an inheritance? Because I'm thinking that's usually already stated in the estate plan.
Correct. That's a great question, and you're right. That does need to be stated because, again, if we just simply say, property is going to go to Joe and Sally at my death, and we don't say anything more, that's presumed to be a tenancy in common. And
so if Joe goes, he can dictate who's going to take it from him.
Exactly.
So that can open a whole can of worms, no doubt.
It sure can.
Yeah.
It sure can.
Have you seen that over the years? I'm sure.
Yeah. So again, very important when you're constructing the estate plan, the attorney should be asking that question. Well, okay, if it's going to pass on, what rights do you want the children, if it's the children or whomever, what rights do you want them to have with respect to disposing of their interest in the property?
Wow. Yeah. So good thing to have an estate planning attorney involved in these things, and I can see why. You can imagine what could happen if those things weren't in place, and it would be a nightmare, especially if you didn't know the people that were entering into the agreement.
There you go, and that's sometimes you don't necessarily want the in-laws involved or whomever. So you make sure you know what you're doing. Have that conversation with your estate planning attorney. Make sure that the property is going to pass the way that you want it to pass.
Thank you, Mike. So, folks, what's something you need to live but that you rarely think about? The answer next on Seniors Rock Radio and News Radio WHAM 1180.
Hi, this is Shayna Cesaro, owner of Effortlessly Healthy Meal Delivery Service. Let's talk about drinking water. Drinking water is so very important for a healthy lifestyle. Hydration can boost your immune system, give you improved energy, and help with all of your organ functions. No, drinking a soda does not count as water intake. Water is water, and every person, especially a healthy senior, should make sure that they drink enough water. Fun fact is, men aged 51 and older should drink about 13 cups a day, and women aged 51 and older should drink about 9 cups. Grab yourself a great water cup, like a big Stanley, and carry it around with you throughout the day and keep hydrated. That's what I do.
This motivational minute is brought to you by Effortlessly Healthy Meals. Enjoy fresh, chef-prepared meals delivered to your door with weekly changing menus. Visit ehmeals.com and live effortlessly healthy.
What's something you need to live but rarely think about? The answer is air. Today we're talking indoor air, and with us is the indoor air king himself, Peter Gordon, founder and indoor air quality specialist with Indoor Air Professionals. Thanks for joining us again, Peter.
Hey, it's always a pleasure to be here. I love just trying to educate people on the wild and woolly world of indoor air quality.
Yeah, and I've learned so much from you, and I think that's one of the things I really appreciate because, being in this business, we're always deep diving into things, and the air duct cleaning and the indoor air wasn't something I thought about. And indoor air pros, I tell people all the time, are the gold standard of air duct cleaning. And your excellent service and technical expertise I've experienced, and it's even one I'll tell the folks, Indoor Air Professionals has contracts with the likes of the U.S. Navy. So this is legit stuff, important stuff to know. So thank you again for telling us about these things. And we thought since it won't be long till we're closing up for the chilly winter, and you know what's happening, we'd review what you can do, Peter and Indoor Air Pros can do, and see if that might benefit the folks that are listening and their families, because it sure did help us.
And, Peter, the last time you were on, we spoke about the challenges of summer weather and how our indoor air was impacted by things like air conditioning and humidity. So, my first question is, does indoor air quality change with the seasons?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Mike. So, just reviewing that, the summertime situation is when we're running the air conditioning a lot. The air conditioning coils are like, refrigerator lines, and they have beads of sweat, and that sweat goes into the detritus in the ductwork. When we say that, it's the 50 million dead skin cells per person per day. It's all the construction debris, the drywall dust. People open their windows and doors throughout the season. This is important when they're not running heating or air, and they bring in pollens and dirt and diesel and everything from the outside. And all that is showered with moisture, and that makes for mold inside the ductwork. So that's what happens in the summer. Now in the winter, everybody experiences this thing that we call the Rocktober syndrome, because it's usually in the last couple days of September or early October, and they turn their heat on and it smells.
Oh, I hate that. I hate it.
Yeah, so that's mostly the dead skin cells baking off the heat exchanger. Now, if you'll notice, even without a thorough duct cleaning, that smell goes away in just a day or two, because it all burns off. But that's just the tip of the iceberg of what lies in there. So typically from Labor Day to almost all the way to Christmas is the busiest time of year for indoor air professionals duct cleaning. So that's exactly, those are the two seasons that we're leaving summer behind in another 3 weeks or so, according to the calendar, though we'll still run some air conditioning, for a while, and then boom, that heat will pop on. And we've all had days where you have the heat on in the morning and the air on by night.
Oh, yeah. We live in the Northeast. We know that feeling. And I have been opening my windows and closing my windows and putting the air on and closing them again. It's I want to feel the fresh air, but I don't want, the heat in the house and all the allergens. So it's a test of wills, if you will. But I am looking forward to putting the furnace on this year, Peter, and not having that awful smell, because we did get our air ducts cleaned by you guys, and it was a great experience. So thank you.
Oh, yes, but you will, just because, as I said, remember, we all shed 50 million dead skin cells per person per day. So you'll still, since you had it done in, the beginning part of the winter, that's been plenty of time. Actually, I'm sorry. From when you turned it off last in May, right?
Oh, right.
There's still enough time. So you'll get that quick smell, but the good news is that you're good for 3 to 5 years. That's the interval before there's enough in there to make it worthwhile to clean it out again.
Cool.
And Peter, just to pick up on what you've been saying, what are some of the other causes of indoor air pollution besides the seasonal influences?
Yeah. Okay. Well, as I mentioned, the construction debris is huge. We do brand new builds every week because you have 25 to 35 subcontractors building a modern home these days. And, they say a general contractor is the leader of an orchestra that nobody's paying attention to, but it's impossible to control the drywall dust, grout, carpet fibers, everything like that goes into a new build. And then after that house is built, as I said, it's the people more so than anything, the pets. And then we open our windows and doors in the spring and summer, or spring and fall, and the days when we don't need heating and cooling, and you bring out pollutants from the outside. You've got volatile organic compounds, or VOCs, as we call them, which is anything that off gases into a house. Like a new build has carpet that stinks, paint, all that stuff. Those are all pollutants that make up part of it. And then, not many people, but we still have homes that we go into and clean that have smokers, cigarette smokers or cigar smokers.
Ew.
And then all that smoke permeates what we call duct fur.
Yeah, I've seen it. I'm here to witness. My hand is up because, all you're saying, I've seen it. I've said, when our build was 30 something years ago and that stuff was still in there, because I don't think, obviously, it had never been air duct cleaned before. And so I'm sure I keep saying these things. I'm sure you've heard a lot of great comments from people. And one of the things that I wanted to be sure we get in here is, one of the things I wanted to ask you is, what kind of things do people say when, besides me? And also give us an incentive, because I know you do that. I know you have some great deals going on too. Sure.
Okay. Well, anyhow, the testimonies that we get from customers, we've now had over 275 Google 5-star Google reviews, and we just started to promote, just to kind of go after that in the last year and a half. So, but we've always gotten write-in testimonies, people saying, I don't wake up in the morning to take, my allergy medication, or in the middle of the night, whether it's over the counter or prescribed, I don't get allergy shots. I stopped using my asthma inhaler. Yeah. It's all around the health aspect. And then even more than that, people that have compromised immune systems because they have been battling chemo, what I mean? Battling
a lot
cancer.
Of things.
So the chemo and all that wipes out your immune system. So they notice a big difference with that.
Wow.
So it's along that lines. I mean, everybody can have friendly customers, and, here's just a review that just popped up. This was an absolute top-notch service, from the knowledgeable sales rep on the phone to the highly experienced field technicians, Mike and Jim. I don't know why anyone else would use another duct cleaning service in Western New York.
Peter, thank you. I'm going to have to, we're going to wrap it up here until we go to the next segment, but I want to tell folks, indoor air does matter, people, for your health and for a cleaner home too. This is a great time of year to finally get those air ducts cleaned, spick and span. Once they're clean, you can continue keeping your air fresh long term. We're going to tell you how next on Seniors Rock Radio. Welcome back to Seniors Rock Radio. We're going to continue now with Peter Gordon. He's the founder and indoor air quality specialist with Indoor Air Professionals. We've had him on several times, and we just talked about air duct cleaning again, and it's important. So we wanted to do that right now at this time of year, especially because this is a good time to do it. Now, the only thing we didn't get to, of course, was, I guess two things. One of the things I wanted to ask you, Peter, was how do you test the air in a house? I mean, that's kind of the first part before you even do the air duct cleaning. How is that done?
We use a laser particle counter. It's a portable device. It's, $3,000, and it measures 1 cubic feet of air volume. And it's, we mostly use it to demonstrate the power of our medical grade air purifier. So let me just clarify one thing. We don't need to test the air to tell if you need your ducts cleaned. If they've not been cleaned by Indoor Air, let's say you had them cleaned, before with another company, because we know the technology's only clean 30 to 40%, where we get 95 to 99%. You need your air ducts clean, no ifs, ands, or buts, because we're doing new builds.
There
Remember
you go.
that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to get this done. I'm just going to go to the bottom line here. Give us an incentive for the folks who haven't had it done. Let them experience this and give them a good discount. I know we've been talking 20. Are you going to still do that?
Yeah, well, so it's Labor Day, and there's still an opportunity to beat the fall rush. We're only about 2 weeks out right now, on the schedule. And if you have special needs like asthma, allergy, sinus, you can get on a priority move up list, as the schedule is very dynamic.
Cool.
So yes, you won't hear this one again. So we'll do 20% off of duct cleaning. And once again, when you call, and I'll email you all the information and the price list, so you can see we're not pulling this out of thin air. We have a very neat formula to calculate based on the age of the house, the number of runs, and the access to the main trunk lines of the ductwork. But yeah, 20% off.
That's big.
If you call me for duct cleaning today.
Excellent. And we'll get to the number in a little bit here. But before we do that, we love that we have the indoor air now that's clean. Wondering, how do we keep it that way? What's the best way? And we talked about, you mention all the time, these air purifiers. So I would like to know more about them, because I have the air duct cleaning and I want to know, what about these air purifiers? Tell us about them and what is the purpose?
Okay, sure. Yeah. So we have searched the planet for the best technology in air purification. And, as I just mentioned, that unfortunately they make a whole bunch of duct cleaning equipment that doesn't get the ducts cleaned. Well, the same thing is there's a myriads of what are called HEPA filtered air purifiers on the internet and elsewhere. And I mean, there's actually some good ones, but they come nowhere near the brand that we carry, which is Healthway. And they're actually based in Pulaski, New York, north of Syracuse. And they're 40 times more efficient than HEPA filters. Well, how can you say that? Well, I was just talking about the laser particle tester. Okay. But where does the 40 times come from? So HEPA filtration, which most air purifiers are, and some of them are really junk, okay? The ones you see for anywhere from $29 to even $500 mostly don't work very well. But HEPA stands for high efficiency particulate arrestor. It goes down to 0.3 micron size particles, 0.3, which is pretty small, okay? However, the DFS, disinfectant filtration system technology that's used across the Healthway line, goes down to 0.007 micron particle size.
Wow.
So, and to put that in perspective, we all know that viruses can be a nuisance, coronavirus, etc. Those particle sizes are 0.08 to 1.7. So just backing up a bit, if you pluck 0.3 in there, you're missing 0.3 to 0.08 particle sizes, which is the virus realm.
Yikes.
So the HEPA is not going to stand up to that compared to the Healthway product line that we carry.
That's pretty scary. And, it's amazing the things that we're learning from you. And I appreciate that. I want to know, you mentioned 5 years or so earlier. How long does an air purifier last if you get, how long does your air duct cleaning last if you get an air purifier? Does it extend the length of that?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a great, okay. So first of all, the most popular unit we have is the Healthway Deluxe. Used to have a long number like 20,600-3. We just call it the Healthway Deluxe. And that is the gold standard in portable air purification. It covers 1,200 square feet, and it will definitely reduce, since it's all, the game is all about reducing particles, because whether it's virus particles or mold particles, they need a transport vehicle. So as I mentioned, the 50 million dead skin cells per person per day is a transport vehicle. When you purge those out of the air, they're like little spaceships bleeping around, carrying things that make you sick. So as we reduce those particles, and by the way, then the particles are zapped so that, I shouldn't use that word, but the ones 0.007 microns and lower, any mold or bacteria attached to that are taken care of by the machine, if that makes sense. Now,
that's great.
Going one step further, the same technology comes in a whole house unit that hooks right on your furnace. And that unit, if you put that on your furnace, you won't have to clean your ductwork for, I'd say, 10 to 15 years.
Whoa.
We've only been they've only made them for 7 years. So we really don't know the full impact, but those units are amazing. That is, truly the gold standard way to go.
Great information, Peter. And do you also have a current discount on the medical grade air purifier?
Absolutely. Okay. So once again, the line consists of, there's one that covers 300 square feet, which I don't recommend unless you're really tight on space, like an RV or whatever. Even a bedroom, you're better off with a deluxe for a lot of reasons we don't have time to go into. But that unit is normally $549, and we can take $150 off and make it $399.
Good.
But the most popular unit, the Healthway Deluxe, is $1,495. You take $350 off of that, and that unit comes down to $1,149. And lastly, the whole house unit, it's a $2,500 unit, and we'll take $500 off of that. That also requires an installation, obviously, because it's a pretty large box that all that special technology is contained in.
Wow. It's obvious that just like air duct cleaning companies, not all air purifiers are alike, Peter. Thank you for clarifying that. Thank you for explaining why it's important to do these things and to make sure you do have something that works right, because you're just wasting your money, basically, if you get something cheap that's not working. So thank you, Peter Gordon of Indoor Air Professionals. We'll have you back, and thank you for joining us today and for living your company's motto. I was listening to what you were saying, and quality care for your indoor air is what they say, and that's their motto at Indoor Air Pros, and it's what's important to the company. And it's how they want to do business and how they operate ethically and morally. And there's a lot of people out there doing things that are not doing them right. So if you do want to clean your air, your indoor air, this is the time. If these things are important to you, call the best. Call Indoor Air Pros and call Peter today. He's there. He'll explain things to you. If we didn't give you enough today, ask about the savings. Don't wait for cleaner air. It is time. Call 585-427-8020. That's 585-427-8020. Now, next, we're going to wrap up the hour with more info for all adults right here on News Radio Wham 1180.
Hi, this is Shayna Cesaro, owner of Effortlessly Healthy Meal Delivery Service. Let's talk about your brain. Use your brain so you don't have to lose your brain. It is just as important to move your brain as it is to move your legs. Don't stop learning and mentally challenging yourself. My grandma used to love doing the crossword in the newspaper and all of the jumbles. And my grandfather never misses the news and reads literally all day so he keeps his mind going. You want to stay sharp for your family and especially your grandkids if you have any. So make sure every day that you read, do a puzzle, or have an intellectual conversation with a friend. Use that mind, baby.
This motivational minute is brought to you by Effortlessly Healthy Meals. Enjoy fresh, chef-prepared meals delivered to your door with weekly changing menus. Visit ehmeals.com and live effortlessly healthy.
Thank you for joining us today, folks, and I hope you have a safe and happy holiday and that you will come back next Saturday at 11 o'clock. Remember, we start at 11. It's getting us a few weeks to get used to it, but it's pretty nice, and then we'll have the rest of the afternoon to enjoy ourselves. So I'd like to say a special thanks to our sponsors who make the production of this program possible. You'll find all of them on seniorsrockradio.com, and you can connect with them too by just clicking on their logos. They are a great bunch of people and companies, and a lot of them are locally owned. Most of them are locally owned and operated, and they're families. So you can trust these people, and I hope you go there first when you're looking for services. And next week, we'll be live again right here with your favorite home energy expert, and that is Jeff of Wise Home Energy. He's going to be our guest, and we also have another actor. We had an actor on last week. Our guest will be actor Trip Hansen, who's starring in The Boy from Oz at OFC Creative Theater Center. And we'll be giving away a couple of tickets too, folks, to The Boy from Oz, too. So tune in to win. It's the first show in the new Broadway to Brighton series. Those are some tongue twisters in there. Anyway, Mike, take it away. Get me off the mic because I can't talk anymore. What are you going to do this weekend?
Well, like a lot of people, be celebrating with family and friends. And, you know, they always say Labor Day, right, is the sort of the end of summer, but it's not.
Aha.
We've still got plenty of great weather ahead of us. So I'm definitely going to take time to enjoy the outdoors this weekend. But folks, don't despair. Summer isn't really over. We've still got a few good weeks ahead of us, and I hope everybody has a chance to get out. You know, it's everybody. Kids are going back to school this coming week. Some folks have already gone back to college, but you know, grade school, high school, et cetera.
I'm picturing all those kids with those signs in front of them first day of school. You know,
Right.
I mean, they go for every age, and it's fun to see those online. I get a kick out of those.
It is fun. It is. So I hope everybody stays safe going back to school, and hope you got your back to school shopping done. If you didn't, it's well, you'll be a little late, I suppose.
Yeah. I love the fall clothes and the fall fashions, and it's just all the textures goes along with the colors and the leaves. And we were talking to Marcia Hayden there the other day, the woman that's coming in for the Broadway to Brighten series, first time in Rochester, and she said she was looking forward to the change of seasons. And I said, hey, I just saw a couple of yellow leaves the other day. True.
Yeah, we've seen some changes, although I guess that's not really the fall foliage, maybe just some stress on the trees.
Yeah,
but,
we had a lot of dry weather, too.
Yeah, but, you know, lately, just because of the, you know, weather being different now, the leaves don't change until, you know, maybe late September, even into October, at least in terms of the peak in our area. So we got a lot of good stuff still coming up. And, of course, not this weekend, but next weekend, the Bills kick off their regular season with a home game.
Ooh, who are they playing?
They're playing the Arizona Cardinals. So a hot weather team. So I don't know what the forecast is for next weekend, but
We'll hope for snow.
There you go. But as you know, Pam and I are very excited about, and I know John is too.
Oh yeah, everybody is, and you know I like it because I get my time for myself.
There you go. You get your
I
little
might have to be a
vacation.
Bills fan. I don't know. I hate to say it, but they haven't been doing that great, have they, in the preseason? From what I see, no.
But we don't really care too much about the preseason.
That's what John always says. You're right. I get it.
You want to come out healthy, and it's really a time to evaluate the young players or the new players, maybe not so young. But yeah, it would be nice to get the starters, you know, sharpened up. But I don't think that's as important.
Well, there are a lot of things to think about, and then before you know it, the holidays will be hitting us.
Oh, don't say that. You know, there's already Halloween decorations in
It's
the
crazy.
stores and the candy and whatnot. And my gosh,
I don't need candy anywhere right now.
It's not even. Yeah, no, terrible.
Yeah, and so. Yeah, that's scary. But I guess Halloween's supposed to be scary. And I just noticed in our neighborhood, there's another one of these scary haunt places going in. And they're all over the place. They're quite popular. I remember we were talking about Seabreeze the other day, and they used to have the fun house. And then they used to also have the scary house.
The ghost train.
Yeah, the ghost train.
Yes.
So they don't have those anymore, but I can imagine why, because people get a little anxious, and we don't need any more of that lately.
Oh, my goodness. I remember when I was I went to the Durand Eastman School in East Irondequoit for grammar school, and we used to go, the Irondequoit Police Department would sponsor something called Kitty's Fun Day at Seabreeze, and you'd get a string of tickets,
Nice.
I think 5 ride tickets and a ticket for a Coke and a hot dog, and
Nice.
And a friend of mine, his father was in the police department, so we always wound up with a few extra strips of tickets, and those were fun days.
They don't have the tickets anymore, by the way, folks. And I'm going to jump in here because Seabreeze, until they close, I'm not sure what the close is, but I'm sure there's a few more weeks. You can get in on Tuesdays for free if you are a senior.
That is true.
Yeah. And, you know, my girlfriend and I and her sister went a few weeks ago, and we had an absolute blast. And so please don't let your age hold you back. Go enjoy the day. A lot of fun. And there's the arcade is there. The horse race thing is still there, which was a big hoot. I always love that. You throw the balls in, and they make the horses run. And somebody always wins at that one. So there's a little tip for you.
There you go. That's right. That's right. So anyway, I hope everybody has a great Labor Day weekend. Thanks again for joining us, and we will be back next week. In the meantime, be well and be kind.
Thank you. And thank you, Peter Gordon, for joining us today, too. He brings us a lot of great information, just like all of our sponsors. And we are so grateful for them because we are advocates and we're here for all adults. We say that every week. We hope you'll share that information. Come back next week at 11. We'll be here waiting for you, and we're going to have some fun. We'll be live. You can even call and say hello. But I want right now, just have a great Labor Day weekend, whether you're retired from the workforce or still in it. Celebrate achievements of all American workers. Thanks for joining us today. We celebrate you on Seniors Rock.